Good evening all, hope you are all well. Welcome to Apex Online Racing. Luke Etheridge here, bringing you the action once again from PlayStation 4 F4 for the Apex Online Racing Hype Energy F1 2018 leagues. The action today coming from the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium, the longest track on the calendar, just over 7 kilometres, and known for many famous corners: Eau Rouge, Radillon, La Source, Le Combe, Stavelot, Blanchimont. The list goes on. Should definitely be a fascinating race today. If you weren't with us for the last round at the Hungaroring last weekend, it was a slightly mixed up grid with drivers going for different tyre strategies. Undefined got his first pole position of the season, with Hapari joining him on the front row, but it was the leading soft runners in qualifying who had the best of the race. Geordie taking his fourth win of the season, just ahead of Vic, and that has closed up the championship significantly. Geordie is now just 1 point behind Jon Palainen, who finished fourth last time out, with Vic just 9 points off the championship lead. So who is going to be leading the championship at the end of today? Feel free to leave your comments on the stream. Hashtag AOR Hype if you'd like to get in touch, as well on Twitter with any questions or who you think will do well today, and who do you think might be the surprise package. Spa, quite a different circuit to many others on the calendar. Very difficult to set up the car around here. You have the very fast first and final sectors, requiring a low drag setup, but high downforce needed to be fastest in the middle part of the circuit. So it'll be good to see which drivers are strongest at which part of the track and what strategies they go for. With drivers beginning to make their way out onto track now for the first part of this qualifying session. An 18-minute qualifying. We see both Mercedes going out there in sync. 18 minutes qualifying, followed by a 22 lap race. The first car was next to the pit lane. Randy Thompson, we can see there, with Evan just behind. Evan has been one of the best qualifiers this season, actually. He's had 2 pole positions and qualified well last time out in Hungary, but it just hasn't come together for the Renault driver in the race. He'll be hoping for better luck this time out. Did receive some penalties in between Hungary and now that were outstanding from the German Grand Prix, so that dropped him out of the points from the German race and promoted Vic and Kieser into the points. So he'll be hoping for a much cleaner session this time around. We will go on to the Renault now and see how he does on what is his first flying lap in this session around Spa. Got the super soft tyres, the softest of the three dry tyre compounds that are available. Super softs, softs and mediums, taking a very wide line there. Kicks onto the main pit straight, heading down towards La Source. Very tight hairpin, slowest corner on the circuit, but it's so crucial to get a good exit as you head towards the famous Eau Rouge. This section still existing from the old part of the track. Car tries to get away from you there as you get over the brow of the hill. DRS active as you head down the Kemmel Straight. Scene of many great battles between Schumacher and Hakkinen in 2000, breaking into Le Combe at the end of the first sector. This is all about keeping a good rhythm through here, keeping it tidy. Kicking out onto the gravel slightly there, Evan, but that shouldn't have affected him too much. Didn't have to lift. Coming around the left-hander now, heading towards Pouhon. As wide as he can get away with there, the Renault. Slight lift, I feel, through there. No one, I don't think, is going to dare to go flat out. It's very easy to lose the car if you haven't got the high downforce needed through this slower part of the track. And we've got the final 2 right-handers here before Blanchimont. Not the challenge that it used to be. It's easily flat now in modern Formula 1 cars, but in the wet, and we don't know what the weather conditions will be for the race, of course. In the wet, it is still an extremely tricky corner on what is one of the most challenging circuits on the modern F1 calendar. Evan keeping it clean through the bus stop, aiming for the shortest line as he heads towards the checkered flag for the first flying lap in qualifying, and it's a 1:42.6 for Evan. Good clean lap time to set himself up for qualifying. All 18 drivers are out, most on the super softs, but Kiza and Hasdane going for the soft tyres. We saw that being the winning strategy in Hungary, but the difference there was it was the ultra softs with the faster tyres, so definitely not as durable. I'd expect super softs to be the way forward. The top 10, of course, having to start on the tyres that they qualify on. Take a look at last week's polls. It's now undefined. He's just crossing the line. No time coming up, so may have invalidated his lap somewhere. Evans still the fastest so far. Schumacher and Jompalainen second and third. Then Kiza and Hasdane fourth and fifth on the soft. Breezy and Geordie the only other two drivers to have set a time, but they are quite a way down the order at the moment. Have a look at one of the new faces in this league, Ibrahim, in the Force India. It's only his third race in this F4 season and managed to get his first point. He's very sideways through Pujon. Hasn't got the downforce needed to get through there at them speeds. Perhaps caught out a bit by just seeing Evan in his eye, although the Renault was well out of the way. Ibrahim will be hoping for a good race this time out, and so will his teammate Slimbo Dude. Slimbo's not had the best season since the first race in Australia, where he took pole and won. He has got more pole positions so far than any other driver, so a bit like Evan, things seem to go to plan in qualifying, but seems to have fallen apart in the races, especially recently for Slimbo. He's now 100 odd points off, as that is Pedro, I believe. Pedro's on. Yes, Pedro is out of the qualifying session. So a disaster for the third place man last time out. Pedro, who I thought was going to have a really good race weekend this time out, he's in the wall just before Pujon, and that is going to mean he will start right at the back. Very easy to overtake round here. Ooh, the Slimbo nearly joins Pedro in hitting the wall. We've seen Geordie just set the fastest time of all so far, and professionals retired from the session as well. Rigid green flags, you'd have to say that's from Blanchimont. So 2 of the 17 cars have already ended their session. Yellow flags, that's going to ruin Slimbo's lap, but it seems to have cleared by the time he's got through. So what can the Brit do? No. I'm not sure that was an intentional drift into the pit lane, but if it was, well done. It definitely looked good on camera, that one. So Slimbo aborting that lap. Whether that was the plan, who knows. One of the drivers who went slightly under the radar last week was Schnitzel in Basalba, putting a good performance to finish in the top 5. He's also abandoning to the pit lane now. So only 10 drivers have set a time so far with just over 10 minutes remaining. It's Geordie 3 tenths ahead of everyone else on provisional pole position so far. Then Evan, Schumacher, Jompalainen and Schnitzel rounding out the top 5 as Geordie, on an in-lap I believe, gets very wide there. Won't want to do that too often throughout the race. We've seen how easy it is to accrue penalties in this league. We want to keep it very, very careful. And Schnitzel informing me that it will be dry for both sessions. Thank you for the weather forecasting update. So expect a straightforward race, and I'm sure that'll be a relief for all involved. Now Hipari was very good in qualifying last time out, but didn't quite go to plan in the race. The 2-stop strategy that he tried wasn't the best for the race, and what can he do in the Mercedes on his first flying lap? We saw him come out earlier, but he clearly must have aborted that lap time as the Finn. currently been fairly consistent this season, 10th in the championship, and that's him and Schumacher's performance helping Mercedes to 4th place. Still perhaps with an outside chance maybe of getting involved in the constructors. Williams currently leading that with Jompalainen and Hasnain. Ever since Hasnain's joined this league, they've generally been the standout team. But maybe if things start going Mercedes' way, we saw a great race for both the drivers in Germany and a great qualifying last time out from Hipari. And of course the commentator's curse struck Schumacher last time out. I made a big deal of his record of scoring points in every race, but it was not to be at the Hungaroring, so he'll be hoping he can get himself back up there. He's 5th in the championship at the moment for Schumacher, just 3 points behind Pedro. So with Pedro being out of qualifying, it's a great chance for the Lebanese driver to regain his head of what is the best of the best battle, I'd say now for this season. I can't imagine anyone outside of Jordi, Jompalainen and Vic being able to win the title. Just too big of a gap now to feel that the top 3 have got. So as Hipari heads towards the line for his first lap in qualifying. Would have been a 1:42.4 if it was clean. So he's definitely got the base, but not a clean lap. So still searching for his first flying lap, down in 50 at the moment. Just had 10 minutes of the qualifying session, and still Jordi out in front with that 1:42.2. Evans additional lap time good enough for second. Then it's Schumacher, Jompalainen, Schnitzel, Kieser, Hasnain, Kanoyander, Vic and Breezy. That's all the drivers to have set a lap time so far. Professional and Pedro, they definitely won't be after retiring from the session due to accidents. Caught the tail end of Pedro's. Didn't see what happened to Professional, but we didn't see what happened with Ibrahim either. A cracking lap time from the Somalian, 1:42.2. That puts him on provisional pole position so far. And Evan quickly snatches that away, 1:42.1. Have a look what some of the other drivers are doing. Kanoyander in the Haas. Not had a fantastic season, only 10 points so far. He'll be hoping for a much better race this time out. Showed a lot of pace in the early part of the season, especially in China, so he'll be hoping to get himself up there again. 29.8, decent first sector, but just looked to have carried a bit too much speed into the entrance of Lacombe, and that compromised his exit. Kicking the car out a bit, always looks good, but it's not necessarily the fastest way. Although the better drivers, I think, definitely do prefer to have a car that's a bit more oversteering. You can definitely push a bit harder, I feel, with a bit livelier rear end. Jompalainen's managed to find a gap between Evan and Ibrahim. Up to second is the championship leader. Less than a tenth separating the top 3 at the moment, so it's still all to play for, and we'll be definitely hoping stays that close in the race. In Hungary, we saw some fantastic action. 4 wide in the midfield in the middle of the race. Ibrahim and Evan with some of the drivers involved in that, and they'll be hoping that they can have a fantastic first win of the season, maybe. We've only had 5 winners so far this season, Jordi having 4, Vic and Jompalainen with 3 each, and then Slimbo won the first race in Australia, and Schumacher took the win in Germany, so maybe time for a new name to get themselves on the podium, and Kanoyander comes into the pits. We've got just over 5 minutes remaining. Evan 29 thousandths ahead of Jompalainen. Then it's Ibrahim, Jordi and Breezy rounding out the top 5, and Jordi's just gone fastest as I say that. So Jordi's got himself onto provisional pole position, 1:42 flat. So if you get a 1:41, you're guaranteed to be ahead of Jordi at the moment. Most of the drivers have stuck with Supersoft. It's just Kieser in 11th, the only driver who has gone for the softs on his fastest lap. Whether he keeps with that remains to be seen. Judging by those red wall tyres, as Vic takes pole at the moment, 1:41.7. He's not had the best of qualifying recently, but the Indian Ferrari driver will definitely be happy with that. On board with the Toro Rosso, very smooth on the throttle. Changing up early to counter the wheel spin. Expect to see a lot of that in the race if they need to do any fuel saving. Down the gear and braking into Poohon. Very fast with the second brake. You can hear the bottom of this car skidding on the tarmac. Looks to be a clean lap coming up to the end of sector 2. He'll be hoping to move himself up to maybe around where his teammate is, undefined 7 at the moment, and there's definitely about a second difference between the softs and super softs if you get it right. So you'd have to say a top 10 is very achievable for Keyser. Comes into the bus stop chicane. To cross the line, this will probably be his final hot flying lap. And what can he do? It's a 1:42.8, just outside the top 10. 11th place at the moment. With 3 minutes remaining, the drivers will be coming out of the pit lane now, getting ready for one final flying lap. You see Hasnain getting well out of the way there on his out lap. Haven't paid much attention to Vic in this qualifying session. He is on provisional pole at the moment. Just cruising around. Has got enough time maybe to get one more lap in. I feel he'd have to fly round, but can't see it happening at the moment. Got the pit limit on, so just cruising around. I think that will be enough for Vic. Evan at the moment on his out lap. Can the Renault driver get himself up there onto the front row? Everyone having the same tyres shouldn't mean strategies as important as before. Geordie in the pits, Vic in the pits. Quite a few drivers seem happy with the times they've set, but you can see there, a bit of a queue forming. Jon Palainen on his out lap. He'll be wanting to get free of the traffic, so there's 2 minutes remaining. We'll go back to the Renault of Evan. Gearing up for what will be his final lap. What will the Renault driver be able to do, if anything, to get himself up there and give him the best possible chance of a first podium or even win of the season? Second gear this time, interesting, perhaps maybe trying to counter any wheel spin as I mentioned on Keyser's lap. One of the Mercedes there just behind as well. So fast through Eau Rouge now. I know these cars have a lot more downforce than they used to, but I imagine in a real F1 car it's such an exhilarating feeling going through that corner. 29.5 for the first sector forever, and he's looking pretty good so far. Whether it'll be fast enough to improve his position remains to be seen. I think that's Schumacher in the background getting a bit wide there out of the Lacombe chicane. Expect to see a lot of action in there into lap 1 of this race. Vic and Schnitzel are on their out laps at the moment, so it's going to be a bit rushed to see if they've got time as Evan runs wide there. Don't know whether that will be enough to invalidate his lap time. The Renault's about to come to the end of sector 2 right now. Do you guys agree with this style of qualifying format that we have in F1 at the moment? Tyres seem to play a big part in it. I know they haven't as much this time around, but we saw in Hungary a lot of the faster guys in the race chose different tyres in qualifying as yellow flag. So Vic has retired from the session, so he will not be able to improve. And this is the last chance for everyone else as well. Aaron comes across the line. 1:41.9 was the time, but I believe running wide cost him. Undefined, another driver to retire from the session as well. So quite a few drivers, they're making mistakes on their final runs. We see a crash there, but that won't affect anyone at the end of the session. can Jon Palainen do in the Williams? He's 4th at the moment. He's just less than 300ths behind Evan for 3rd place. Geordie flying around as now into the chicane just before the Paul Fair corner. Not real seeing any improvements so far that are changing the order of the field. It's getting very, very close between quite a few. Should lead to some interesting battles in the race. Half a second separating the top 6 at the moment. To force India ahead of Geordie, but I'm definitely far enough away to not really give him the slipstream or affect his braking into the bus stop. Can it be pole position for the American and giving the best chance of getting the championship lead? This time out, Slimbo's up to 2nd. Geordie does go faster, but it's not good enough, so Geordie is dropped down, and Jon Palainen goes just 1,000 faster than Geordie. Hipari in 5th as well. Somehow these drivers are finding gaps in that timesheet. But it turns out Vic's lap was good enough for pole position. And with Geordie went from a lap time that would have been good enough for pole if it had been clean. In the end, he could only take 4th position. But it still should be a very interesting race. So Vic on pole. Slimbo showing some of his early season form. It's 21,000 behind for 2nd. Jon Palainen in 3rd. Geordie and Hipari just behind him, 4th and 5th. Then it's Evan, Schumacher, Ibrahim, Breezy on undefined. The top 10, they will all be starting on the Super Softs. Then Schnitzel, Hasnin, Kieser, Randy Thompson, Kano Yanda, the last of the drivers who set a time. And Professional and Pedro, of course, caught out early on in the session. Expect to see them fighting their way up the field. So it should be a very, very interesting race to come. All the championship contenders right up there. Jon Palainen, he's happy in P3 at the moment. Vic in the lead, of course, and Geordie just behind. Slimbo sort of in the middle there, spoiling it a bit for the championship contenders. They have generally been the best racers and the most consistent throughout the season. Only 2 of the 12 races so far they haven't won. Be interesting to see if Geordie can get his 5th win of the season. Will Vic or Jon Palainen be able to make it 4? Can Slimbo make it 2? Or will we see another winner? Hipari's quite far up the front of the grid as well. So it's all to play for. We are seeing quite a few drivers leave the session here, so I'm wondering if there's been any issues with connection. We have seen it a couple of times so far this season. So I will try and keep you updated with what is happening as we get any. This will of course lead to a slight delay, but I feel like it just adds to the tension. At least it's not like real Formula 1, we have to wait a day in between qualifying. Maybe that's something Liberty Media will change in the future. They have gone on about shortening F1 weekends, but we'll wait and see as to whether that will happen. Practice is one of the sessions that they are talking about changing. We have 3 practice sessions at the moment during an F1 weekend. So maybe that will be cut down to 1 or 2. I feel like a lot of fans would be disappointed at the track if they don't get to see any real qualifying action. Any practice, should I say. Is definitely a interesting part of the weekend. Get to see some new drivers take opportunities as well. We saw quite a few of the people who have debuted in Formula 1 have come through Friday practice sessions. It should not be long now before we find out what is happening and who will win here at Spa for round 13 of the Apex Online Racing season. "22 laps, of course, around Belgium. Everyone must use 2 different types of tyres. Everyone, I expect, will be starting on either the super softs or the softs. Everyone qualifying on the super softs. That's not something we've seen quite a lot happen this season. Usually we get a very mixed up grid due to that different strategies, but the cream of the crop seems to have found its way to the front this time out. Vic on pole. Slimbo just 23 thousandths behind in second. And then Jompalainen and Geordie third and fourth. Professional and Pedro, they will have to fight their way up through the back of the field. Expect to see quite a lot of overtakes, especially Pedro. He's had quite a good run in recent races. Was the winner on circuit, at least, in France in that crazy wet-dry race where no one really knew, I think, at any point what the best tyres were to be on. Pedro was the winner out on circuit, but unfortunately he suffered from a lot of penalties, and that has cost him. So we're expecting that qualifying will have to be done again here. So apologies about this. Wait and find out what will be about to happen. It's not something we've experienced so far this season. Problems in between qualifying and the race usually happens earlier on. So apologies that I'm not a bit better informed as to what the procedure will be here. Any updates, I will make sure you guys are the first to know, of course. And I'm sure Vic will be hoping that if we do have to go for a second qualifying session, that he can pull it out the bag once more. As I mentioned, he's not been known for his fantastic qualifying so far this year, but a great lap this time out to set pole position. He was fastest early on in the season in China. He was one of the fastest drivers there, should I say. Wasn't fastest indeed. Got a win there, and he got another win in France and Britain. So when the weather has been more British, shall we say, maybe even more Indian, they're known for the monsoon conditions, Vic has been the one to beat. So who do you guys think will be coming out on top this time at Spa? A lot of overtaking opportunities, of course, around this circuit. I'm just finding out there is indeed a full restart. There was a lot of desync occurring during that session. So that's affected there a lot of people lap times. So it will be a full restart. The 18 minutes of qualifying will have to go again. Whether it'll be as dramatic as the first, we will wait and see. So 18 minutes of qualifying again around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit, and I've used up most of my facts now about this place. The debut track, of course, of Michael Schumacher back in 1991, but he's not the only German driver to come from sports cars, make his debut in Belgium in a green car, only drive one race in that team, and retire in the early stages after out-qualifying his teammate, Andre Lotterer, in 2014 in the Caterham. His one and only Formula 1 race was here at the Belgian Grand Prix. Money problems stopped him carrying on with the team. Didn't have enough sponsors. Caterham, of course, folded at the end of the season after missing a couple of races in administration. Who do you guys think are some of the other great drivers from different fields of motorsports that never made it into Formula One, whether that be through choice? Tom Christensen, of course, chose to stick to the sports car route and was very successful in that, and is still finding success, winning the Race of Champions as part of Team Nordic yesterday with the rallycross driver Kristoffersen, and we saw Vettel and Mick Schumacher runners-up in that event for Germany. But one of the big talking points from that, from an esports point of view, was Enzo Benito beating former Formula One driver and former Formula E champion Lucas Di Grassi. I think that's changed quite a lot of people's minds about esports and especially sim racing. We've seen the preparation some of these drivers have put in, especially those involved in the F1 esports series. It's taken very seriously now. 9 out of the 10 F1 teams, of course, involved in that. Hasnain here saying it would have been nice if Rossi and Loeb were involved in F1, and Sebastian Loeb did come. Well, so did Valentino Rossi. Actually, they both came fairly close to driving. Rossi had a few tests, of course, with Ferrari when he was at his most dominant in MotoGP, and Sebastian Loeb actually came close in 10 years ago now to a debut with Toro Rosso after they dropped his fellow French Sebastian, when Toro Rosso went through that period of only hiring drivers named Sebastian, as opposed to now where they seem to be going through a period of only hiring drivers that they have previously replaced. Yes, replaced Bourdais in 2009 nearly. It was Jaime Alguersuari, who was the youngest driver in F1 at the time. He made his debut instead of the 9-time World Rally Champion, who is going full-time again this season in the World Rally Championship, but not with Citroën this time. He's he's making his debut with Hyundai, so it'll be interesting to see how he does this time around. I think some other drivers I would like to have seen in F1. Quite a few Formula 2 champions never made it. I know Fabio Lima, I think he was the most recent. It was GP2 when he was involved, but F2, as it is now known, he did win that championship, but never managed to make that step into Formula 1 after winning the title in 2013. Had a few races in Super Formula and Formula E, but I believe that has been it now for his career. So it just shows maybe if you're not involved in a young driver program as much as some of the other drivers. Valsecchi, another one mentioned, he's also had success in GP2 and he's having a lot of success now in the commentary field. He gets involved with esports as well. Maybe I should send him a tweet and get him involved with AOR. It's worth a shot. That'd be definitely interesting to see. He's known for getting very, very excitable over the commentary, as is always the case in Formula 2, known for its non-stop racing action. Felix Rosenqvist, yeah. Spent quite a lot of time in Formula 3, IndyCar this season. I suppose sticking with that IndyCar route as well. Alex Rossi, I know he had a end of the season with the Manu Marussia team in 2015 should I say, but didn't really get a fair crack at Formula 1, so it'd be interesting to see how he would have done in a bigger team. Driving around for Marussia, of course, in 2015, kind of a fruitless task for everyone. The team barely survived into that season, so didn't really have much chance but to finish in the lower places. Quite a few agreeing with you that Valsecchi should do AOR. I can send a tweet out, guys. I mean, who knows what could happen. There's drivers beginning to get ready now. Fingers crossed that we can get some more action. I know you're all finding my voice incredibly entertaining, but not as good as it would be commentating over some cars going around the Spa circuit. Fairly unchanged over the last 30 years. The bus stop being the major changes and a few others made for safety, of course, but it was originally a 14-kilometre beast back in the 60s and 70s before they got rid of it for safety reasons, as they did quite a few other tracks, the Nürburgring being another one, shortened for safety. That lost quite a lot of its character, but this track definitely has not. 15 seconds to go for qualifying take 2 at the Belgian Grand Prix. AOR Season 16 PS4 F4 will be underway once again. I say as absolutely nothing happens. Ah, there we go. Game playing tricks for me there once again. So, in case you've forgotten from earlier, 18-minute qualifying session. Some of the drivers, Pedro and Professional, will be grateful for what has happened, giving there a second chance. We saw how close it was last time. About 2/10 separating the top 5. We'll be hoping for the same yet again this time around. It was dry for both sessions last time. Maybe we'll get something different. And that'll ruin everything I've just said about the drivers being prepared. Just waiting now for the lobby to load for qualifying for the Belgian Grand Prix here. Feel free to get in touch on Twitter as well. Hashtag AOR Hype. And you can tag myself in as well. I'll leave my Twitter in the stream. That way it doesn't get lost. Putting the weather on clear is good thinking by Hibari Hasnain, letting me know about that as well. Second chance for the drivers. 141.7 was pole position last time around. Will it be faster? Will a few drivers take it a bit more carefully on the first lap? So will they feeling confident? Go all guns blazing this time around. Evan, one of the early cars, out again. Eager to get going. A pad user, he feels like that has let him down a few times this season, and I can't stress enough how tough it is to get that fine control needed to be quick while using a pad. You haven't got that same travel, obviously, with the buttons as you do with a pedal, and I just feel it comes more naturally if you're using a pedal on wheels. Something, especially if you've started learning to drive, although there's a big difference between chucking it through Eau Rouge and trying to do some parallel parking. Personally, I'd find chucking it through Eau Rouge a lot easier, but I just feel it's more natural if you're using a pedal and wheels. But Evan doesn't look to have cost him too much in qualifying. He'll be hoping for a similar run to earlier and his first real big point score of the season. Renault languishing at the bottom of the table so far, getting Greasy there disqualified from the session, so things definitely not gone to plan for the Sauber driver this time around. So he will be starting at the back this time. Evan just building up, taking that wide line that we see a lot of the drivers doing. And on to what will be the first flying lap of this session. Super soft tyres once again, only Hasnain so far sticking with the softs, going for something slightly different from last time. No, last time him and Keyser did start on the softs before moving to the super soft, so it'll be interesting to see whether Hasnain goes for the same again. DRS open for Evan, down into Lecco, 211 miles an hour at the end of that straight. Something I'll try and keep an eye on in this session indeed. There's different speeds that drivers are achieving down there, just to get an idea of how they've set their car up around this track. I know if I was feeling like I'd be starting further down, I'd go for more top line speed just to give me that overtaking opportunity into Lacombe and La Source, of course. Through Poohon, wide there, will that cost him? Will that invalidate the lap time? 200 mile an hour nearly into there, running slightly wide, but won't have cost him too much. Feel like Evan would have liked to have been a bit closer to the apex, but now it's just a run down, show full commitment through Blanchimont. He'd be a brave man to pass through there in the base, but we saw Max Verstappen do it a few years ago. Heavy braking into the bus stop. What can Evan do this time around? He's into the pit lane. Getting quite a bit wild on the way into the pits as well. So Vic, 141.5. Well, there's your answer to will they be able to go faster this time out than last time. Straight away, throwing the gauntlet down to the rest. Vic says, right, you've got a second chance to beat me. I'll just make it even harder for you. 141.5, Geordie. Another driver into the 141s, but he's 4/10 off Vic. What can Slimbo do? 141.7 was his fastest from the first session. Not quite as quick this time around. 142.0 puts him just ahead of his teammate in third place. Ibrahim fourth. Hasnain on those soft tyres has managed a 143.7 so far around. Some hopes here for Jompalainen to do better than third place last time out. He's in 7th at the moment on a 42.6, but he'll be hoping to work his way up. And you can see what difference having those soft tyres made for Hasnain. He's well down the back of the order, 143.7. So I'd imagine he'll be going to the softs anytime soon. And Professional and Pedro will be happy that they've managed to get a lap in this time around. Kano Yanda now on an in-lap perhaps, running down towards Lacombe. See about 207 mile an hour there, but get the feeling he's definitely not pushing as much as he could have been. Schnicksel just up ahead. Will he be able to do anything this time around? But that first lap from Vic must have been incredible. We keep seeming to miss these fast laps from the Indian. 141.5. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I can't see anyone beating that in this session. And it'll be an extremely impressive job by anyone if they manage to do so. Kapari in 5th, around where he was earlier on as well. Fandy Thompson doing slightly better up in 6th, but there is still a lot of the session to go. The only driver who has yet to set a time so far, Evan, he's giving it another go on his outlap. He'll be hoping that it's clean this time around. Did well earlier on. Will he be able to keep that pace going this time? Once again lining it up into the bus stop. You've got to be careful in there. If you run too wide on the way in, that's going to invalidate your lap time before you've even started. And then it's a long run. As we mentioned, it's the longest track in Formula 1. It's a long run right back to the pit lane. One of the Ferraris coming out, but Vic staying well out of the way as you'd expect. Flat through a Rouge, only the gravity, I think they're slowing him down. DRS wide open. Again, 211 mile an hour at the end of the straight before braking. A 29.5 first sector. Very good, that's going to put him up there. They can keep it clean all the way around. Locking up into the hairpin, but that shouldn't have too much of an effect. We saw how Lewis Hamilton nearly get it wrong in the wet there. in 2010 before still going on to claim victory. But it'll be dry all around for the drivers. They're not going to have to worry about intermediates or wets, and I'm sure that is a huge relief, especially for the front runners. Pretty smooth through there, taking just the right amount of curve. A lot closer to the apex this time around. It seems a better lap than last time from the German. Car skidding along into Blanchimont. Nowhere near as dramatic, of course, the skids that we used to see back in the 90s. Running off the skid plates at the bottom, and Evan, for his first qualifying lap, looked clean enough, so I'd expect this to count. And it's a 1:42.0, third place so far for the Renault. And we'll see what Vic can do. He seems to have missed all his major flying laps this time. We'll make sure to stay on board. Third in the championship, just 9 points off the lead. So definitely all to play for between himself, Geordie, who's just 1 point behind the Williams of Jompalainen. 211 mile an hour as well, but seemed to reach that a lot earlier, 29.4, so faster than Evan. Seemed a bit drifty through Lacombe, but don't think it affected him too much at all. Evan's Renault just ahead, so Vic will be hoping that he gets out of the way pretty swiftly. No one's still managing to really improve. Still a 4-10 lead from Vic ahead of Geordie, and I know these are top 3 in the championship and they've been pretty dominant all season. But out of the 12 races so far, they've only shared the podium once between them, and that was in France. And as I've already mentioned, part of that was down to the large amount of penalties that Pedro faced, dropping him back 4 places. So despite being dominant, it seems to be different. Drivers seem to have tough races at different times. Geordie's, of course, he's had a few tough races, not started in Silverstone, and monitor issues on a qualifying ban in Germany. But Vic, very smooth through there. 1:41.4. Just seems to have it nailed on around this Belgian track. Half a second faster than anyone else. Definitely one of the biggest gaps we've seen in qualifying so far this season. I know there's still 7 minutes to go and it's one of the longest tracks, but he is looking very good to be starting on pole this time around. Ibrahim having another good run in qualifying. It's 5th at the moment, has just gone down to 6th as Jompalainen improves. So he'll be hoping for a good point score in what is only his 3rd race of the season. See yellow flags in Sector 1 and Sector 2, so I believe that'll be into Lacombe. Someone may have got it wrong. Geordie's improved and Slimbo has improved massively. Another drive into the 1:41.4s. Not as comfortable for Vic as I thought it was going to be, perhaps. So Greasy the only driver not to have set a time as Ibrahim gets it wrong. Smashes through the polystyrene. No damage done to the car, but that's definitely ruined his lap. I've seen a few drivers get wide through Lacombe, but just a bit too much curb and gravel took by the Somalian in the Force India. Speared him off towards the wall. Did well to avoid any damage hitting the wall at just the right angle, perhaps. Front wing seems okay. But perhaps pit for a new set of tyres before it's time to go again. Mentioned that Hasdane was on the soft tyres earlier. He's now gone back to the super softs. He's in 12th position. We'll have a look now at Hapari in the Mercedes. Just cruising around on an in lap. What most of the drivers will be doing. See a few more heading into the pits. Evan really the only one who's going to be going for it. He's a bit out of sync, of course, having had to abort his first run One of the advantages of that, of course, he's got a nice free road, got a bit more freedom in what he wants to do traffic-wise, not under the same pressure of trying to find a space in the traffic as everyone else. We saw the first session, quite a few drivers come out at the same time. Be interesting to see if that happens again this time. It's one of the challenges, of course, of Formula 1 is finding the gaps in the traffic. Not as big of a problem around this circuit, quite a long circuit, and you can take advantage of the slipstream and expect to see a lot of slipstreaming at the next race. The Temple of Speed, Monza, is the home of round 14 of the season. It'll be same time, same place next week for round 14, and who will be leading the championship going into that. We should have a much better idea of that in about 40-50 minutes time by the time the race has ended. So Evan going on for his second hot lap this time around with 4 minutes to go. It's Vic 44 thousandths ahead of Slimbo, Geordie in third, Evan fourth, and then Hapari, Jompalainen, Schumacher, Ibrahim, Schnitzel and Kieser rounding out the top 10, which is separated by just a second. Professional Randy Hasnain just behind as well, and Pedro and Cano Yanda, the final two drivers who have set a time. Breezy disqualified for a parking infringement earlier on. Good job he doesn't do that on the road. It's a £60 fine. I'm very surprised I haven't earned some of them in my time. But I digress. As into the second sector now, Evan just understeering slightly into that. Definitely not how he'd have wanted to go around that corner. Oh, whoa. And I'm even more certain that's not how he'd have wanted to go around there. So, expect him to ditch this lap. Some of the drivers now exiting the pit lane onto their out laps. Geordie, 1 point behind Jompalainen. So he pretty much knows if he beats him out on track this time, he will have a fantastic shot of leading the championship into the next round. Still 9 rounds to go, of course, including today. Only 9 points separating the top 3, and only 2 and a bit minutes to go of this qualifying session. The reason why they haven't used the qualifying results and then started the race is because there was a large amount of desync in the earlier lobby. It was Macca Stewart 22 asking that question. So because of all the desync, felt it was fair to just give everyone another go. See what Geordie can do this time around. Expect this to be his final flying lap. Blackburn Rouge pretty much a given. All the way down the long Kemmel Straight. 212 mile an hour, so slightly faster than what we saw from Vic and Evan earlier on. And a lot cleaner through there than we've seen from a lot of the drivers as well. Needs to find just under 3 tenths, would be good enough to get on the front row. Just over 3 tenths would get in provisional pole so far. All 4 wheels are over the white line there, so it'll be interesting to see if that invalidates the lap time, but he's still pushing as hard as he can. Some yellow flags appearing in sector 3, but that shouldn't affect Geordie's time. The American hoping to give himself the best possible chance of taking his 5th win of the season by starting on the front row. Overtaking is pretty easy around here compared to some places. See some yellow flags appearing there into Blanchimont. But all cleared by the time Geordie's coming round. One more chicane to negotiate. The Sauber getting well out of the way there. Keys has retired from the session. What can Geordie do? 141.4 as well, but he doesn't move up any further, so pretty much just solidifying third on the grid at the moment. Will a few more be able to improve? Vic heading into Pujon. Will he get pole? Will someone be able to snatch it off him? Evan, another driver to have finished his lap time. He's going to stay in 5th this time around. Schumacher moves up to 6th with Abe's effort at 1:42.1. There's a big gap at the moment between Pedro in 4th and Jordi in 3rd. So great chance for someone to fill that gap and get themselves a decent start. Pedro not able to improve. Checker flag is out, so this will be the last run for everyone. What can Vic do? Can he get any quicker? Doing 5 through the gears as quick as possible there. Straight line, 1:41.2. That should be that. Pole position so far for Vic, just cementing that you feel. Slimbo as well, he's coming through Blanchimont now, and he's backed well off, so will he have done enough for 2nd place? Unless there's a massive improvement from some of the drivers lower down, you feel that might be it. Schnitzel's 10th at the moment. Might partly be hoping that Professional gets ahead of him and then he'll be having free tyre choice, but I'm sure he's just pushing as hard as he can to move himself up the order. Schnitzel, a 1:42.1 was the time, but it's invalidated, and that is that for qualifying. So they've had another 18 minutes to do what they can, and in the end it's the same result as last time, just a lot quicker. Vic Star, pole position for the Ferrari. He's got the best possible run into turn 1. Slimbo as well came pretty close again to pole, but still maintains his front row slot. And I know some were hoping that Jompalainen would be able to improve on 3rd, but that was not the case. He's down in 7th, the other one of the championship contenders. So it's Vic on pole, Slimbo 2nd, Jordi, Pedro, Evan rounding out the top 5. Schumacher, Jompalainen, Hipari, Ibrahim and Schnitzel. And then outside the top 10, Kieser, Professional, Randy Thompson, Hasdane and Kano Yanda. And Joe Breezy, of course, was disqualified. 15 drivers at a set of time, separated by just 1.5 seconds. So should be good to go for a very close race this time out. So the top 10 will all be starting on the super soft tyres. We'll soon be able to see what strategy some of the others go for. Will they go for the softs or the mediums? Go longer in the first stint? We wait and see. As always, keep your comments coming in on the stream or hashtag AOR hype on Twitter. Who do you guys think will be looking good at the end of this 22 lap race, or even at the end of lap 1? The end of the Kemmel Straight even on lap 1. We saw a lot of slipstreaming this year in Formula 1 with Vettel, Hamilton, Ocon and Perez making it pretty much 4 wide into the chicane. We saw 4 wide at Hungaroring last time out, so we know these drivers are definitely brave enough to give it a go. Someone here thinking Slimbo's got this one. I do hope he has a better race than he's had in recent times. I know me and Never Miss predicted a Slimbo win in Germany and it all seemed to go a bit bad for him then. So touch wood, this time will be better for the Force India driver. Had a good start to the season, but it seems to have faded a bit since then. Now get the tyres up, and everyone outside the top 10 has gone for a different tyre strategy. Mostly on the soft spot. Hasdane in the Williams on the medium tyres. Some of the strategies that we're expecting if you're on the super softs, pitting around lap 5 or 7. Softs probably around 9 to 11. And mediums will be able to go a bit further than that, so somewhere around the 12 to 14 mark. Expecting everyone, if things are kept clean, to go for a one-stop race. And it's going to be a long way for Hasnain to go on those medium tyres. He's going to have to be very patient at the start of the race. He's not going to have the grip off the line. He's not going to have the same grip in the early stages, but we've seen how quick these softer tyres can go off. He could find himself sitting very pretty, especially on a fast set of tyres at the end of the race. If he does a good enough job on these, he might even be able to go to the super softs for a final few lap dash to the line. Will Jompalainen and his teammate be able to work his way up? 7th, not what the Finn would have been hoping. Only a point ahead of Geordie so far. He could take some solace by the fact that the qualifying didn't go much better for him this time around. Geordie was only really able to improve by 1 place. Some other drivers I think good to watch out for. Ibrahim's looked pretty nippy at some points in qualifying. Did make a couple of mistakes, so it'll be interesting to see how he does. He's a professional as well. First ones with 3 tyre choice. Schumacher won from 11th in Germany, taking full advantage of that. Will one of those drivers be able to do the same? We're finding out very, very shortly. Short run to the first corner here, one of the shortest on the calendar, so expect to see most of the action taking place on Kemmel Straight, heading towards Lecombe. Won't be long before we find out. The lights get ready to come on. 3 lights, 4 lights, it's 5 lights, and we will be racing in Belgium. Fairly good start by everyone. Vic getting quite a bit of wheel spin, and Geordie's going to have a go down the inside of Slimbo into turn 1. Slimbo trying to hang on as well, so it's Vic leading. Slimbo has hung on to 2nd place, and then Geordie, Evan and Pedro. Jompalainen's gained a place behind. All the 2 have seemed to have got through them corners fairly cleanly, but now the slipstream in. Battle begins. Vic feeling the need to go very defensive. Pedro has dropped back as well, and Geordie's got down the inside of Slimbo for 2nd position, and having a little nibble there at Vic as well was the American. Evan in 4th. There's a bit of a gap, but building up as well with Jompalainen just behind him 5th. Slimbo running wide there. Everyone seems to have got through the first corners fairly cleanly, and Geordie will be very happy with how he's done. He's got himself onto the back of Vic. Jompalainen's gained a few places as well. Pedro losing a couple on the start, but very early stages. On board with a Force India now. Geordie getting a bit wide through there. That's going to allow Vic to get away. He'll want to break that DRS zone as early as possible. Not active for the first 2 laps, of course, but Vic will be hoping to get at least a second ahead. Behind Slimbo, we can see Evan getting close as well, but too far behind to have a go into the bus stop, you feel. Further back, there's some action with Ibrahim as well. Is he going to have a look at Hipari? No, and Schnicksel nearly runs into the back of him. So it's Vic leading at the end of lap 1. Geordie 2nd, Slimbo, Evan, Jompalainen, Schumacher. Pedro has dropped 3 places from the start. Hipari, Ibrahim and Schnicksel rounding out the top 10. And I said it was fairly clean for everyone. Breezy is in the pit lane. Must have some front wing damage, you feel, to pit at this early stage. So not going well for him. You can see there's missing the right end plate. And yellow flags as well. That's Ibrahim dropping down the order. Spinning at the top of Eau Rouge. He's done well if there's avoided any damage. That's Kano Yanda going slowly as well. So I believe he's missing quite a lot of his front wing. He'll have to pit as well. Didn't see what happened there, but it is very easy to lose the car, especially in the early stages when you're heavy on fuel. And Kano Yanda, you can see struggling for grip there. But out in front, it is Vic Star, a 2nd ahead of Geordie. Slimbo behind in 3rd. Evan beginning to drop back a bit into the clutches of Jompalainen. Kano Yanda has retired. from the session, it was going to be a very tough job to get anything. It was such a long way back to the pits after the contact with Ibrahim. Didn't see what happened, so not sure if there was any blame that can be attributed, but if it goes to the stewards, I'm sure they'll be taking a very good look at that. So Vic leading, Geordie second, and Slimbo and Jompalainen's having a look at Evan around the outside into the bus stop, locks up both fronts, just goes a bit too deep and he's not able to do anything. DRS now enabled, but that has allowed Schumacher to get closer to the Williams. Evans' defence there just giving Slimbo a break and a new fastest lap from the Force India. He's maybe in a nice position out the front three. They're all going to have DRS, I believe, this time around. Slimbo has dropped just below just above a second, I should say, so that's going to prevent him having that straight line speed aid. You're going to be seeing a lot of slipstreaming this time around. Ibrahim has pitted, of course, after his accident. Didn't see any damage, but must have been maybe some contact with Kanoyanda that we haven't seen. So Vic leading, Geordie second, Slimbo third, Evan holding off Jompalainen for the moment. We're seeing pretty much all the drivers lock up. That right front unloaded, of course, into that corner. Evan running wide round there. We've seen him get some penalties already. He'll want to be careful. He's been disqualified from one race this season. We've seen what difference penalties can make. Schumacher all over the back of Jompalainen as well. All this defensive driving from Evan is allowing the top three to escape. Further back, there's some battles for the lower points positions as well. Stixel, Hiparvi and Professional all very close to the back of Randy Thompson. We can see the train now just about to head towards Blanchimont. Schumacher on the back of Jompalainen and the Williams running a bit wide there, but I don't feel like close enough to do anything about it. And runs wide into the bus stop as well, and that's seeing Pedro have a quick nibble. I weren't expecting that. Pedro having a go at Schumacher, who's very close to the back of the Williams, and he's just easily got through with DRS. Is Pedro be able to get some as well? And Jompalainen seems to be struggling with grip at the moment. He's dropped down, he's pulled off. What has happened to the championship leader? He has pulled off the circuit. This is not what he needed, as Pedro's had a huge off into Eau Rouge. I was expected to see Pedro has retired from the session there, but somehow he's kept it out of the walls and not lost that many places. Randy Thompson has caught up as well. Stixel running over the chicane there, so we'll have to give that position back. Jompalainen seems to be back up and running now, so not sure what happened. Maybe some technical issues similar to what Geordie had in Belgium, in Germany, should I say. But Jompalainen's going to have to fight his way up. 13th at the moment and still doesn't look comfortable. Can't see any visible damage. Don't know whether he's just struggling with tyre temperature. But not the start the Finn would have wanted. And Geordie bit wide through there, but he's very close to Vic at the moment. Just 4 tenths separating them. These were the top two last time out in Hungary, but in the opposite order. And Geordie will be hoping for a repeat of that this time around. He runs a bit deep into the bus stop, but still able to make that second apex fairly cleanly. These three beginning to pull away a bit from Evan still. 3 seconds back to the Renault driver, but Jompalainen's problems mean the Renault's a bit of a gap through Schumacher now. It's 2 seconds back to 5th place, and then Randy Thompson, Pedro, Professional, Hiparvi and Stixel rounding out the top 10. One retirement so far. We saw Kanoyanda losing his front wing at Eau Rouge and then pulling off at Lake Home, retiring from the race. We're on to lap 5. Expect to see a few super soft runners pit this time around. The man we're watching at the moment's generally been pretty good on his tyres so far this season. Further back, Professionals managed to get past Pedro. Professional on the softs, as is Randy Thompson, so they'll be able to run a bit further, but he's having to go defensive into the hairpin. Not really a real passing opportunity there. But we saw Pedro try it into the bus stop earlier where I wasn't expected to see anything. So who knows what could happen. We're on lap 5 of 22 of this Belgian Grand Prix. Pedro running very wide. Again there you can see how hard he's pushing. Is that going to give Hipari a chance into the chicane? Pedro defends pretty fairly but all fair. Seems to have a lot more pace at the moment, does Hipari. Maybe Pedro's running wide has cost his tyres again. The Red Bull skidding. I wouldn't be surprised to see him pit at all. Running wide there, perhaps just pulling over or just getting a bit too much wheel spin. And Vic has pitted, so the race leader's pitted. Jordi carrying on, as is Slimbo. So this is a change for the race lead. Eren coming in as well. We said we'd see a few drivers pit in. I'd expect Pedro to be another one. We have Pedro in, Stixel in, Slimbo lighting up the rear tyres out to La Source there. So a lot of the drivers pit in. Eren and Vic all going on to the medium tyres. Expect everyone who pits to do that now. Of course Hasdane will be the only one who won't be doing so, as he started on the mediums, and you must use 2 different sets of tyres. So Jordi leading just over a second back to Slimbo, as a 5-second lead now over the 3rd place man Schumacher. Then it's Randy Thompson, Professional, Kieser and Hasdane. Everyone else has pitted. Vic 17 seconds back. What will he be able to do on them fresh tyres? He's 3 seconds back to Hasdane. He'll be hoping the Williams has a lot of pace, otherwise it could hold him up quite a lot. So we're seeing yellow flags and Pedro dropping a bit down the order. We don't know whether the Red Bulls had problems through a Rouge again. It's definitely a tricky corner. I've had many an incident in my very short ranked lobbies that I've raced around here, going off into that corner, losing wheels left, right and centre. We did see him undefined earlier on. He's not actually made it into this lobby, but was in the lobby early on. Undefined. He had a big crash earlier on today in another league through Eau Rouge. It's very easily done, even for drivers at this high standard. So one of the battles out on track at the moment, Professional and Randy Thompson, the leading cars on those soft tyres, as Jordi and Slimbo and Schumacher pit. So the leading soft tyre battle has become the battle for the lead of the race. Randy Thompson and Professional had a battle in Canada earlier on this season that lasted quite most of the race. So they'll be hoping for similar things. Will Jordi be able to get out ahead of Vic though? That is the interesting question, and he has done it. Vic's going to have a lot more momentum though into Eau Rouge, but I think Jordi's just about held on. Both on the medium tyres. Vic will have DRS, so this is going to be one to watch. The Ferrari goes to the outside. He's going to have it done before the corner. Jordi tries to get into the slipstream, but he's not able to do so. So Jordi came out ahead of the pit, but DRS and slipstream helps Vic to retain the lead, as Professional has got past Randy Thompson. They're battling side by side. They're going to be too wide into Pujon. I'm not sure that's the wisest move, and Professional, in the end, discretion the better part of Valor, backs off there. Kieser, the other soft tyre runner, he started ahead of these, but he's dropped back a bit. And Hasdane in 4th, and then Vic 5th. He is the net race leader so far. So no real position changes in the order after all the pit stops. We'll run through it quickly. It's Randy Thompson and Professional, the battle you're seeing at the moment for 1st and 2nd. Then Kieser and Hasdane 3rd and 4th. Vic, Jordi, Slimbo, Eren, Schumacher and Hipari, the top 10 at the moment. And Professional's going to have the inside line into the bus stop. Feel like this might be a fairly straightforward pass, but Randy is not giving up at all. Fantastic racing from the two. And again, Professional's going to have the inside, this time going into La Source. Gets the job done, but Randy will have a better exit and will have DRS, you feel, going down the Kemmel Straight. Or this is allowing Kieser to close up slightly. So DRS this time on the McLaren. Professional gonna have to go defensive, but I can't see him fighting it too much. A long straight, DRS, straightforward pass. Randy takes the lead again. And the other Ferrari's involved in an interesting battle at the moment. See if Randy will he be able to defend. That's a late lunge from Professional, but they're side by side again, and he's just got it done. Great move. Thought he was too far back. Randy definitely was fair there, gave him enough room, and Professional retakes the lead. You can just see in the background, Big on his fresher medium tyres, beginning to catch up to Hasdane. Got about a second ahead of the Geordie now, has Big, but Hasdane can do Jompalainen a big favour here by trying to hold up these front runners as long as possible. We'll be hoping to get it done pretty soon though. I'd expect Hasdane to have at least another 3 or 4 laps before he pits, so the longer Vic stays behind, the more that's going to help Geordie catch up and the rest of the field as well. Is he going to give it a go into the bus stop? He's going to have a lot more grip, later braking, and that was pretty straightforward. Vic takes 4th. Randy Thompson has pitted on those soft tyres a lap or 2 earlier than I expected the soft runners to pit, but he's in. And Vic gains 3rd position now. Keyser the next target, and Geordie's now going to see if he can get himself past Hasdane. We're going to see a lot of passes, I feel, this race, using DRS into Lacombe down the Camel Straight. Both of them have got DRS, but Geordie just seems to have so much more grip coming off that corner. Fresher tyres, easily done. 4th position, thank you very much. Breezy's coming through 2nd pit stop. He did change to the super soft, so perhaps not a surprise. These two already catching up to Keyser. Professional 2 seconds up the road at the moment. Just have a quick one for the order again. Professional, Keyser, Vic, Geordie, Hasdane, Slimbo, Evan, Schumacher and Thompson and Hipari the top 10. As Ibrahim retires, we saw a yellow flag quickly flash on the screen there. So Ibrahim, I can only assume, has lost it. Going into one of the first corners, some yellow flags as well in sector 1 as Randy Thompson drops a few places. He's down to 12th now. After his pit stop, he'll be going to the end on the mediums, as will everyone else, I believe. So 2 retirements now from this race. I expected better from Ibrahim this time around, but it's just not worked for him in the race. But he is showing good pace. Hopefully he'll be able to keep that up going into Italy. As Keyser pits, so only Professional and Hasdane yet to pit at the moment. That frees Vic a bit more. It's only Professional ahead of him now, but you can't see him causing too much problems. One that is going to be causing Vic problems though is Geordie. He's all over the back of the Ferrari. Remember, this is for the net race lead. And I can't see Vic being able to defend too much at the moment. Geordie has the slipstream, moves out of it, DRS. Not got it done as easily as I expected, but he's just done enough. 2nd place for the American at the moment, and that will be the race lead once Professional pits. Hasdane doing a good job in 4th at the moment, just running his own race, not trying to get caught up in these battles. Slimbo is 5th at the moment. That will be 3rd after all the pit stops. Jompalainen has managed to get up to 10th place. So it'll be interesting to see how far up the order he can get himself at the moment. He's 20 seconds behind these two, so I feel that's definitely too much of an ask. Maybe Schumacher in 7th place is going to be the best he can hope for this time around. So we'll have a look at Jompalainen now from the perspective of Schnitzel, just outside the points for Sauber in 11th place at the moment. Not going well for the Sauber team this time around. Schnitzel 11 and Breezy way down in 14th after 2 pit stops. so it's going to be tough for see them getting any big points this time around. So Professional still staying out on track on those softs, doing a very good job getting to them to last. Just under a second the gap back to Geordie. Then it's Vic, Hasnain and Slimbo, your top 5. This three-way battle for 9th here. Jompalainen trying to catch up to the Toro Rosso of Kiesa, who has just come out of the pit lane. Managed to get well ahead of Randy Thompson, who I can only assume had a problem somewhere. We saw him drop a couple of places, and Kiesa was behind the Norwegian coming into the pit stops. So it's not going to be another podium this time out for the McLaren. You feel he's down in 12th at the moment. Vic and Geordie have both made their way past Professional while we've been watching this battle, so perhaps the second Ferrari has just stayed out there a bit too long on those soft tyres. It must be very difficult for him at the moment. But he's doing a fairly good job at the moment after the pit stops, and expecting to come somewhere out around the Kiesa, Jompalainen and Stixel battle. So in the lower reach of the points, so still something to fight for Professional. But a lot more to fight for his teammates. And Hipari has retired, so Hipari out of the session as well. That's music to Jompalainen's ears. It's going to move everyone up slightly, so we're down to just 13 runners so far. Definitely a very challenging circuit. Vic pushing as hard as possible at the halfway point. He wants to stay within a second of Geordie to get the DRS and giving the best possible chance of taking the win here, as Hasnain pits on lap 10 on his mediums. But interestingly, Professional doesn't. He's doing a very good job of making those tyres last, but you can see how much he's skidding around there. Can't imagine he's going too fast at the moment in 3rd position. Hasnain coming out on the soft tyres, of course, so he will have a lot more pace at the end of the race as Vic goes for Geordie. Geordie was very slow coming out of Eau Rouge there. I can only assume he's made a mistake, and Vic takes the lead of the race. So perfect timing for the Indian as Geordie's wide again and spun. Geordie has spun it, so the race leader just a few seconds ago, he clips the wall. Geordie spun, he's dropped way down to 5th place. In the clutches of Schumacher even now. So it's not gone well for Jompalainen, it's not going well for Geordie. Surely Vic's not just got to think, right, if I keep it clean here, he's 5 seconds ahead of the next car you'd expect to challenge him. But it's very hard to do. So Geordie must have got it wrong on the through Eau Rouge, which is easily done. That gave Vic a run, and then perhaps a bit of frustration carrying over, and got it wrong through Lacombe, getting wide, spinning out. It's costing him about 10 seconds. He's just got to keep calm and hope he can build his way up. Still wouldn't be surprised to see him on the podium at the end of this race. Battle now for 10th place, Hasnain and Randy Thompson. Hasnain just come out of the pits on those soft tyres, so he's going to have more pace than those around him. But we've seen what a good defensive job Stixel can do so far this season. He's dropped back slightly from Jompalainen and Kiesa so far. Professional still somehow hasn't pitted. He's doing an amazing job. As mentioned by Adult Vampire, it seems that he's trying to go onto the supers on the last stint. That would give him a great chance of getting the fastest lap, but I can't see that doing much for his pace. He was about 19 seconds ahead of Kiesa. He's dropped back to about 16 or 15. But overtaking is fairly easy around here. We've seen that so far, so he will have a good chance to work his way up the field. Hasnain, is he close enough to Stixel perhaps to give it a go into Lacombe? He'd be an extremely brave man. Even Daniel Ricciardo would say that's a risky move. And definitely does the right thing, staying back. So 3 retirements now with 10 laps to go. Kano Yanda retiring early on. Stixel locks up there. And then Ibrahim and Hipari both retiring. I believe all of them having problems through Eau Rouge. Will that catch someone else out? We saw it catch Geordie out, but he managed to stay on track, but then spun at Lacombe. And Hasnain, you can see the extra grip he's got. He was so much faster through the second part of Pouhon there. Will he be able to make his way up the order? Williams are leading the Constructors' Championship at the moment, just 19 points ahead of Ferrari. And we've got 1-2 at the moment for Ferrari, but that will change once professional pits. 8th and 10th for the Williams. They've got a lot of work to do. Sticksall blocking off the outside line there into Blanchimont, but you feel like this is only going to end one way. Very late braking from the Dutch driver, and that's going to give Hasnain a much better exit, you feel, but not as well as they expected. Sticksall covering the outside. Hard but fair. You'd have to say probably on the limit of what's allowed, and he's keeping Hasnain behind for a while, but this is just slowing them all down. It's giving Frandy Thompson and Pedro a chance to catch up, and I feel like this could be it. A bit of debris left as evidence on Eau Rouge there. Sticksall goes to the right hand side. Hasnain's already got ahead though. He should have more grip into the braking zone. He takes 9th place, but Sticksall does hold off Professional for that final points position for now. Out in front, Vic 6 seconds ahead of his teammate, who, as Van Bayer said, is definitely, I feel now, going for a super soft run. Slimbo's in 3rd, just behind the second Ferrari, and then it's Evan. Geordie still 10 seconds behind. He is catching Evan and Slimbo, so watch out for him in the latter stages of this race. See Slimbo now. He's just got ahead of Professional, round the outside, runs very wide. Be interested to see if the game deems that an illegal overtake, but I feel like that was just coming at any moment, and Bick is pushing as hard as he can. New fastest lap, first man into the 1:45.9s as Professional finally says enough is enough, ditches those soft tyres. He'll have 8 laps to do on the super softs. Will be a bit of a stretch, but if he's made the softs last 14 laps, he should be able to manage it. Be interested to see what kind of pace he can set and where he comes out. Expect him to be towards the back of the Frandy Thompson and Pedro battle. But he's come out a bit further ahead than I expected. He's come out ahead of all that gaggle of cars, so he's done well there. Good timing, 8th place at the moment. Expect him to catch up to Jon Palainen though, as he has a lot fresher tyres and faster rubber. Said Geordie would probably get up back on the podium. Here he is at the moment, 4th place, closing onto the back of Evan. He's within a second of the German, who's having his best race of the season by far, you've got to say. He's only managed 19 points so far this year. Even if Geordie gets past him, that'll be another 12 to add to his and Reynolds' total. So he'll be delighted with how it's going, but I'm sure he wants that first podium. He'll be doing everything he can to stop the Haas getting past. Geordie with a bit more grip through there. You can see him just closing in the slipstream through Blanchimont. Not able to go anywhere. He's going to have to go around the outside into the bus stop. Evan brakes as late as they dare. Geordie hangs on, and a great move from the American. Does enough to get up to 3rd place, but Evan's got a better exit. He's going to have a go around the outside now into La Source. Can he do anything about it? Geordie just gently shutting the door there. So Geordie is in 3rd. Evan 4th. Too wide through Eau Rouge. This is fantastic. A bit of contact there perhaps, and that's ended that battle. Don't feel there was anything malicious in that, just inevitable when you've got 2 cars that close. I feel at that point of the corner that there will be a bit of contact. That's dropped Evan back a bit. So Geordie is up to 3rd place, but all that battling has meant he's dropped to 4 seconds behind Slimbo with 7 laps to go. Will he be able to do anything? So your order at the moment: Vic, Slimbo, Geordie, Aaron, Schumacher, Kieser, Jompalainen, Professional, Hasnane, Schnitzel, Pedro, Thompson and Breezy. Your 13 runners with 7 laps remaining of the Belgian Grand Prix. It's round 13 of AOR Hype Energy F1 League Season 16. Next week will be in Italy. That will be followed by Singapore and then Russia. We will then have a break before the final few races of the season. Japan, America, Mexico, Brazil, and then Abu Dhabi, the finale in March. Pedro battling as hard as he can to get that final point. 11th place at the moment. Didn't have the best of starts to this race. You can see that by the fact that he's dropped 7 places. Good job by Keita though to gain 6. That 7 places could become 6 over Pedro. He's got a much better run than Schnitzel through Blanchimont. Schnitzel's going to try and hang on around the outside at the first part of the bus stop. That gives him the inside for that bit. He's hung on to stay in 10th. This just allowing the McLaren of Frandy to catch up. Schnitzel was behind, so we got DRS there. And oh no, Evan! Evan's retired from the session. He must have crashed. I was just saying how well it was going for him. And another race of bad luck for the German in the Renault. Qualifying went well again, and the race just seems to be his problem. So Evan out of the race. This battle for 10th, therefore, a battle for 9th now. That promotes Schumacher and Kieser up into the top 5. Jompalainen now 6th. He's getting close to the back of Kieser. So after the issue he had earlier on, it's been a good recovery for him. Said we weren't sure whether Slimbo would be able to hold off Geordie or whether Geordie would be able to catch it up. He's got it to 3 seconds. So the way I see it at the moment, Geordie will be right on the back of Slimbo at the end of the race, which is not long away now. Just over 5 laps to go for Vic to complete. We'll go for a quick run of what this would do to the championship standings if it stayed as it is. 25 points for Vic. That would give him the lead of the championship at the moment. He'd move 2 points ahead of Geordie, who in turn would pass Jompalainen. So it'll be roles reversed between Vic and Jompalainen, and Geordie's 3rd place at the moment would just keep him in 2nd in the championship. He's determined to move up though. Kieser is on fresher rubber though, but Jompalainen is going to be using all the tricks in the book. Overtake mode on the ERS. DRS as well. He's going to have a fantastic chance, and the Toro Rosso having to go defensive. Jompalainen taking as much of the slipstream as he can. He's got it done before the corner. Steady under braking. The Finn is up to 5th. And he seems to have got that fairly clear now. So the only other real close on battle on track is this one for 9th and 10th. Randy Thompson looked like he was catching up at one point, but isn't able to do anything. Can Schnitzel add another point to his tally by passing Pedro? If it stays as it is, Pedro would get on to 101 points. He'd be passed by Schumacher in that best of the best battle. Formula B, Formula 1.5, whatever you feel like calling it. We've seen that in the real world this season with the top 3 teams being so far ahead of the rest, and mainly this season the top 3 drivers, should I say, have had just that extra bit of pace. And it's that extra bit of pace that's allowing Vic to set another fastest lap. 9.5 seconds now ahead of Slimbo. Keeps it clean in the Ferrari, and it should be a fairly comfortable victory. It's not going to be comfortable for Slimbo though. Geordie's definitely up the pace. Less than 2 seconds behind the Force India now. That is going to be one to watch. Professional in the second Ferrari. Not quite setting the pace I expected him to. Perhaps knowing that he's got quite a few laps to do on these super softs, so taking it a bit more careful. But 7th place would still be a good result. Would allow Ferrari to catch up to Williams in the constructors, but not quite past them. 3rd place for Geordie, of course, the only points Haas look like they're going to get this time out. Maybe a second as well, but Kanoyanda retiring early on. It's getting harder and harder for Haas in that constructors battle at the moment, but still 4 laps to go. Anything can change. Schnitzel has dropped back slightly from Pedro. That will give the Spaniard a bit of breathing space in the Red Bull. Perhaps a slight mistake from Schnitzel, but he's got enough of a gap to hold on to 10th place. Fairly spaced out to Randy Thompson in 11th, and then Breezy a bit further back in 12th place, keeping going, because you never know what might happen. Lap 20. Oh! As I was saying that, Pedro's got off. Pedro's run wide out of the Paul Frere corner, and Pedro is out of the race. Just a bit of lack of concentration there, maybe. It's easily done. I've done it myself coming out of there. And Pedro is out. So, just 11 runners now. Vampire Engine Professional losing 0.4 seconds in Sector 1. It's only really 2 or 3 corners. I'd say that's straight line speed, but if he's gaining it in Sectors 3, it's not really the case perhaps. So, interested to see, is he just having to take it a bit more careful for a Rouge? It was flat through there, so perhaps just a driving style that's affecting his lap times at the moment. So Vic leading, Slimbo second, Geordie still about just under 2 seconds behind the Force India, so maybe Slimbo can hold on for what would be his best result since Australia, and a much needed morale booster. Professionals definitely not taking it easy. We saw how hard he's pushing there. He sniffs a chance to get a few extra points, but Pedro, I thought, so it seemed fairly comfortable. He got rid of the challenge of Schnitzel. He was up in 9th place, perhaps just trying to get his way up to Hasdane ahead, but we saw the penalty come across the screen there. You never know what penalties could do. That could change the order quite dramatically. So there could be a few changes here as penalties keep popping up for a few drivers. I know Schnitzel has a couple, Joe Breezy as well, but he's right at the back, so shouldn't affect him. I was just saying you've got to hang on in this race because you never know what could happen. He's 11th at the moment after a nightmare. He only needs one more retirement and he's got himself into the points. But out in front, Vic 8 seconds ahead now as he moves on to his penultimate lap. Seems to be taking it fairly steady, of course. He's got an 8-second gap now to Slimbo. And he has just been so good so far this race event. Got pole in the first qualifying session, which ended up being voided due to some connection issues. Instantly went out faster at the beginning of the second one to secure pole. Improved on his lap time multiple times just to make certain of that. And he looks to be taking a step closer to taking the championship lead. And his teammate is hoping to help Ferrari in the constructors. 0.8 now the gap to Kiesa. And with those softer tyres, he will have more grip through here as long as they haven't passed their best. Looks fairly comfortable through Pouhon. Runs wide though, so 3-second time penalty. That could change everything at the end with the order being that close. He's only 2.3 ahead of Hasnain, so assuming he's the only one with penalties and Hasnain's not, that would drop him a place. So him running wide again there. He's pushing as hard as possible. I said Vic was taking it easy. 1:45.3, fastest lap, what do I know? Nice and comfortable for Vic at the moment, out in front. Slimbo seems fairly comfortable as well. Geordie not able to close up as much as I thought he would. You can see the Force India, but that's all he'll be seeing is that bit of pink speck in the distance. Don't know what colour they'll be racing in this season, of course, with Racing Point, or whatever name they end up choosing as their final one for the season, as Professional's got a lot closer to Keezer. Keezer's going to have to go very defensive here. The battle for 6th place hotting up on the final lap. ERS will be at near full usage. Keezer going defensive. Professional has DRS. He's going to have to go around the outside, but he should have it done before the braking zone. And Professional moves up to 6th place on track. Runs a bit wide there. See Ibrahim lose it there in qualifying. He'll want to be careful to ensure he does not do the same. Right at the back of the field, Joe Breezy catching up slightly to Randy Thompson. Feel like it'll be too late for him to do anything though. But after penalties, you never know, he might still be able to sneak himself a point. But there's nothing sneaky about Vic's performance. He's just dominated from start to finish. Got ahead of Geordie after the pit stop, and Geordie made a mistake. Vic wins round 13 here at Belgium. A fantastic performance from the Indian. Slimbo takes second out on track. Will he stay there after penalties? No. Geordie just by a tenth of a second in the end. Slimbo definitely pushing hard there at the end of the race, trying to secure second, but it wasn't enough. Schumacher in 4th, Jompalainen 5th. Professional crosses the line on track in 6th, but drops down to 8th after penalties, with Keezer taking 6th, Hasdane 7th, Schnitzel in 9th. And I thought Randy Thompson was too far ahead of Joe Breezy. I think I just saw a position change at the end there. Just before the screen cut away, we look at the second Ferrari driver. Be interested to see if penalties did anything. Did Joe Breezy sneak that final point? Vic, win number 4 of the season. Opposite order on the podium to last time out, with Geordie taking second. And a good job by Slimbo, securing 3rd place. He'll be happy with that. He'll be hoping he can stay up and near the front of the order for the rest of the season. So a win for Vic gives him the lead in the championship. He's now 6 points ahead of Geordie. We'll run through the order again. Slimbo 3rd, Schumacher 4th, Jompalainen in 5th position. That only means he's 9-point lead. It's now a 16-point deficit going into Monza. Keezer in 6th, Hasdane 7th, Professional 8th, Schnitzel 9th. Randy Thompson did get 10th in the end, but only due to penalties. Breezy did pass him on track, but was demoted to 11th. We saw Pedro crash out right towards the end of the race. Eren was running well before he had an accident. Hipari, Ibrahim, Kano, Yanda, the other retirements. So many changes in the leaderboard. It is definitely a 3-horse race for the title, but I'm not going to make any predictions of who I think is going to be winning. Every race, someone seems to have the pace advantage. It was Geordie in Hungaroring. He does seem better around the twistier circuits, from what I've mentioned. In Monaco, he won, of course, as well as Canada, so maybe Singapore could be one for him to look out for. Vic, his last 2 wins before today came in wet conditions, but he didn't need any weather to come to him today. Was dominant all weekend. Hopefully he'll be able to do the same from his point of view in Italy. And Jompalainen, he's not had the cleanest races out of the last 2. He'll be hoping he can get back on some form. Had some sort of incident. I will try to find out what that was and mention it in the comments of this video. I want to find out on the forum what caused his sudden drop back down the order. Thank you all so much for sticking with me through this race. Apologies for the bit of confusion of what happened earlier on, but Vic won't mind too much. Why take 1 pole position when you can do it twice and take a dominant win We'll see you all next time out in Monza. Thank you all so much for watching. Goodbye.